are here. We're live, says my YouTube studio.
Woo.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Let folks catch up here a little bit. We've got a few people here. It says people are waiting. In theory, it should have started.
On
There
my,
it
I'm
is.
still getting waiting, but you never know.
There it is. Hold on. One of these days, this will be a clean and smooth and seamless operation. But today is not
Sure.
that day.
Indeed. Okay, now I'm getting
All
my
right.
ad now, so there's that.
Great. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. People are here. Hello, Mission Impossible. We were just hanging out the side of a plane. So that's why we're a little discombobulated and a little bit late. How is everyone? I'm curious to hear how your showings were, wherever you were to see it. Was it packed?
Was everybody at Lilo and Stitch?
That is, yeah. So there's one of our friends is a guy who is one of the managers at Costco, and he loves movies. And he was telling us about how his Lilo and Stitch was packed.
Yeah.
So did you do the twofer of Lilo and Stitch and Mission Impossible? Was one more crowded than the other?
Mission Lolossable. I'm sorry. What's the portmanteau there?
Yeah, no, yeah. This is not quite the Barbenheimer weekend, but it wasn't
Stitchin'
a
Impossible.
large. Yeah, that's good. That's it. It's Stitchin' Impossible.
Stitchin' Impossible.
I love it. Good to see you guys. David says saw Final Reckoning in IMAX, but the story did feel a bit complicated and not mapped out well. We got Brent here and BC and It Can Be and Gage. Hello. Gage, thank you for answering the perennial question, how do we look? How do we sound? Thanks to all of you. We have kind of a hard out because if you are a member of our Patreon at the lunch date level, we are doing our May lunch date after this at noon in a different place on a different platform. So if that is you, keep an eye out for that. So we've got a little bit of time here. Let's get into it, Alonso. Let's talk about spoilers.
Sure.
If you are here, clearly you have seen the new Mission Impossible, or you just want to know what happens. Does Tom Cruise die?
Of course. Come on.
I wanted Tom Cruise to die. Is that so wrong?
But you know he's not going to. The only time Tom Cruise dies in a movie is when he's got a clone ready to take over for him, like in Oblivion or whatever. When we sat down to review this, I think we thought that the biggest spoilers involved were the film's connections to previous chapters,
right?
That was new information. So I think big spoiler is that the MacGuffin from Mission Impossible 3 turns out to be the Entity.
Right, the rabbit's foot. Philip Seymour Hoffman was the villain all along.
Yes, exactly.
That was really clever. Yeah, I thought they did a good job of tying back into other movies, particularly 1 and 3.
Yeah.
So we have the whole thing with Dunlow. We also that too. We have mainly you have Dunlow, and sort of a throwaway line in the first Mission Impossible is, when he notices that something is amiss in that data room that Ethan, the first time Ethan Hunt, is splayed out across the floor, hovering over the floor. That's Dunlow's little fiefdom, and they have like poisoned him to make him sick or something. There's a throwaway line about let's just send him off to an outpost in Alaska and we'll never hear from him again. Get his stuff packed up. End of the day, he's gone, and that's what they do with him.
Yeah. That is the callback of all callbacks. That character becomes a major player in this part, who's like kind of a throwaway foil, basically, from the first movie. But then also the revelation that. What is
Shane Wiggum is John Voight's son.
That Briggs is actually Phelps Jr.
Phelps. He's Phelps's son.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very soap opera-y, like da-da-da.
For sure.
And so that was good. Yeah. And then I didn't see that coming, but it does explain, Shea Wiggum's character's motivations, why he is so after this guy,
Right. But yeah, what I think has been kind of fascinating to watch unfold with all this is I think that the people who had more of a vested interest in this series as an actual bit of storytelling or character development maybe feel not as into this one and think that it's trying too hard. Whereas I've never really super bought into this. Like, I've always enjoyed the movies and thought they were fun, but I was just sort of there for the stunt craft more than anything else. So for me, this is like, what's Tom Cruise going to climb or fall off of or go under? And so the movie gave me plenty of that. So I didn't mind that, like, story wise, it was too complex, or that it harkened too much to the earlier stuff. I'm not going to go as far as Richard Brody, who said, watching people argue over which is the best Mission Impossible is like watching wine experts drink motor oil. Which is,
yeah.
That's a little harsh, but I just,
I think so too, because there's still like cinematic craft on display.
Of course.
They're not crappy. They're like incredibly well-made movies doing what they do,
Yes. But in terms of like buying into them on a character level, it's sort of like, I think you kind of realize early on you better not be too invested in the realities of John McClane once you get into those later Die Hard sequels, which are also, I mean, terrible in other ways. I think these movies are all good, but they're not good as, like, Robert Towne did not come back to write any of the other ones, So and because I wasn't, I'm not hooked into these movies on that level. I'm here for the spectacle. The spectacle never disappoints.
Yeah, I had just done a big rewatch the previous weekend, so I was maybe a little more invested in like the continuity of the characters and the stories because they were fresh in my mind. But you can go into it cold. This movie does a good job of explaining and over explaining. Here's what this thing is and why it matters and da 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 da. Yeah, Shane says William Dunlow is MVP. Come back here. Kathy says, great to be seeing this with a super fan when Dunlow showed up. Sam says Mission Impossible could get rebooted as a show at some point. Oh, maybe. And also says that he liked the Inuit wife character.
Yes.
That was a nice touch, that he's happier there. And as Brent points out, the thing he says about, if he hadn't given me diarrhea 30 years ago, I wouldn't have met my wife. I mean, I think that's really sweet that he's happy there, doesn't feel stuck there, that he's happier there than he ever would have been with the more glamorous, prestigious job.
Yeah, no, I definitely. And that a character who is sort of like gets kind of a womp womp ending, you then like, no, he actually continued to live and work and thrive and do things. Kyle Buchanan, our friend at the New York Times, made a joke about how one of the highlights of the movie was when Tom Cruise visits the horny submarine. And I totally agree. I think between the scenes that he has with Tremel Tillman and the scenes that he has with Katie O'Connor, like those are the hottest moments in this movie, and I agree with, there's somebody like Adam who says that, yeah, he's got no chemistry with Haley Atwell. You do miss Rebecca Ferguson there, but that is all the sexy moments of this movie are Tom Cruise on the submarine having like cryptic conversations with those two characters.
So loaded, so much double entendre going on there. Yeah, all sweaty in the middle of nowhere underwater.
What are you saying?
Jeffrey says these movies were best when they were standalone adventures with auteur directors for each one. I mean, yeah, there definitely is a different look. Like the De Palma one is very De Palma.
Sure,
you got split diopters, and then the John Woo one is such a John Woo movie. So many doves, So, but with the McQuarrie ones, because he's done like what, the last 4 of them, I want to say, it is building on the mythology, and I think that I kind of do like that continuity to them in a different way.
Although, I mean, like my favorite is probably still Ghost Protocol, and that's like Brad Bird kind of getting to make a live action Incredibles,
Yeah, I still like Fallout best for sure. Yes. Oh, Katie O'Brien points out Jonathan Caro. Katie O'Brien is
did I say that wrong?
The character. I don't know. I think you said something else. But anyway, but that is that. Thanks, no problem. Teddy, thank you very much, Teddy, for your kind donation. Teddy says, I like that McQuarrie cleaned up J.J. Abrams' mystery box mess by actually identifying what the rabbit's foot was from MI3. I mean, yeah, it's super MacGuffin-y.
Yeah, and I frankly didn't mind not knowing all this time, but it's fun when you're sort of retooling a series like this. We're like, well, we have this thing, and this thing can be anything we want it to be. So why don't we make it, this plot point for later? It's funny because this is hitting right around the same time as Final Destination Bloodlines, which is also like, how do we find a unified field theory that ties all of these disparate stories together, and they do.
Yeah. Thank you so much, David, for your kind donation.
Thank
David
you.
says, I personally care more about the story and the characters and don't understand people who care more for the stunts. I don't watch the Harry Potter movies for spectacle. I love the characters. Well, they're trying to do both at the same time, right? And I guess you go for whatever it is that you go for. And in some movies, like Fallout, which I think is the best, they do the best job of balancing like actual emotional stakes with the
Mhm.
crazy stunts and the fights and all that.
Yeah, and it may just be that I think I don't know. I mean, obviously there are Tom Cruise movies
Mhm.
where you are there are absolutely that are character pieces and that are written that way. But for me, Ethan Hunt, I don't have strong feelings about who he is or what he's about. Like, yes, okay, he
Yeah.
was in love with Michelle Monaghan. You know, like that's about all I got.
Yeah.
So, but if you respond to who's in that level, fine. But I'm just saying, for me, this is these movies have always felt more interested in going places and putting him in situations that were dangerous and making it look as much like as possible as though he's doing all the stunts, which I
Yep.
mean, he's not doing everything, but he's doing a lot. He's doing more than most would, I think, in that position. And that's kind of a way to get people back into theaters. If we look at a movie like Mad Max Fury Road as being like, yes, it's not all CG, like there's all these practical effects, like this is actual movie making and like film cinema magic unfolding before our eyes.
Yeah.
I think Cruise is trying to sort of single-handedly bring that back of like, hi, it's me, gigantic movie star Tom Cruise, dangling off a biplane for your entertainment.
I mean, and increasingly, like I said in our spoiler-free review, like so much of the point of these stunts, besides
Mhm.
pure visceral entertainment, seems to be making sure we know that Tom Cruise is out there
Yeah.
sacrificing himself for our sins. You
Yeah.
know, and so that's why they hang on those shots, and he goes on the talk shows, and he does talk about like the G's, when he's
Yeah.
like in between the layers of the biplane and like he's got to turn his head because the G's are going to pull the skin off his face.
Well, because yeah, I mean, you see the G's like, and that is a very not movie star moment. Like, even if
Right.
you are doing that, you don't want to look that weird on screen, but he does want to look that weird, so that that the wind is hitting his face and his cheeks at that speed and making it be like,
And his
um,
hair.
exactly. Yes. So good, more power to him.
Yes. Thank you, Il Magic, for your very, very kind
Thank you.
donation. Il Magic says, I think the best MI film is 1, 6, 4, 3, 7 in that order. 6 is Fallout, and
6 is
right?
Fallout, 7 is Dead Reckoning Part
Part
1,
1.
4 is Ghost Protocol? No.
Rogue
Yes.
Nation.
No. Oh
5
man.
is
5 is
you
Rogue
look it up.
Nation or okay, hang on.
I don't know.
Ugh.
5 is Fallout? Is Fallout in between Rogue Nation and Ghost Protocol? I don't know.
Ghost Protocol is 2011
Yes, that's
and
4.
Rogue Nation is 2015.
That's
So
5.
that's 5. Fallout
Okay.
is 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brent, thank you. 5 is Rogue Nation, and Brent thinks that's the best one. Adam also thinks that's the best one. 6 is Fallout. Yes,
Eh.
thank you. David LeMan, thank you again. David says, how would you guys rank all 8 Mission Impossible movies? I'd rank best to worst. Ghost Protocol, Fallout, Dead Reckoning, Rogue Nation, Final Reckoning, MI3, the first Mission Impossible, and MI2. This is really tough. Okay, so for me, Fallout's really high up there. I think the first one is still really great.
Yeah, I have not revisited them of late as you have, so it's hard. This is a hard list for me to do.
Yeah.
I remember not being super swayed by 3, and I also remember not hating 2, but I haven't seen them since they came out, so it's entirely likely that my position would change. Rogue Nation, I think Ghost Protocol, definitely my favorite.
Is it?
Why
is that your favorite?
Just because I think it's the one that delivers the most on, he's on that skyscraper in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or wherever the hell it is, and I just remember being the most thrilled by that one. Whereas like Fallout, I know that is a lot of people's favorites, but at one point I just kind of felt like I hit a point where like, okay, I have been wowed as much as I can be wowed, and the movie just kept going. I'm like, okay, too much cake, you know.
And they become a little interchangeable, right? Like James Bond movies can be there in the middle, you
Sure,
know?
yeah. It's hard
Mhm.
sometimes to remember which stunt is from which movie. Um, so yeah, I don't feel qualified to rank them right now because I would
All
have to
right.
go back and look at them again. But you're fresh off of it, so
I am. No, it's yeah, Fallout is up there. I went back and rewatched our Dead Reckoning Part 1 review
mhm.
before we saw this last one, and we loved it.
Yeah, we
We
had a great
really
time.
enjoyed it.
Yeah. Like that, they were selling the motorcycle stunt so hard, but the train part I thought was really the most fun, you
The
know?
train thing was like heart stopping. Like,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen? Don't die, Tom Cruise. Um, so we also should talk about though who all died in this movie. Tom Cruise does not
Yes.
die, but
No.
many other people do, including Luther, Ving Rhames' character
Yes,
Luther, the only
yes.
person besides Tom Cruise who was in all of these movies,
Oh, wow,
and
yeah.
that friendship is so lovely. He brings such like a gruff kind of warmth to all of these, and I
Mhm.
guess they try to soften the pain of the blow of his death because he's dying. He's sick. I can't recall. Does he have cancer?
It's
Did
something
it
he's got
say?
some kind of condition where he is in his hideout has a hospital bed and like IV, you know, stands. So probably.
Yeah. So I guess that's like he's sacrificing himself because he does not have much time and like the world is at stake and all that.
Right.
So that is really sad. But he has made the thing that what is it
It,
that
it,
Esai Morales is after?
the thing that will trap the entity, basically. It's like sort of an algorithm that it will operate
Yeah.
inside, but it'll keep it out of the world's computer systems. But of course, they only have a split second to capture it there
Right.
and then take it out before it, you know, da da da. And so
We
that's
need
why
Haley Atwell.
the world's greatest pickpocket, Haley Atwell, has to do that
Yes.
for them.
Timing. Yes, that's it. The poison pill. Thank you, Stephen, for reminding us what this thing is called. We saw this movie a couple weeks ago, so I don't really remember. I remember some, a lot, but not the tiny little details.
It's an orange rectangle. I remember what it looked like, but
It becomes an orange rectangle once the entity gets inside of it, right?
right.
Is
Yes.
okay. So that is sad that he dies. You think that Simon Pegg's character Benji's going to die because he's shot, and this is sort of a fun thing where like a couple things are happening at once, and he's like telling someone what to do here while also keeping track of something else there, and like he's breathing his last breaths, and he's sweating, and Palm Clementif is trying to keep him alive and all that.
Yeah.
Um, that's fun. He does not die. He lives. Gabriel, the Esai Morales villain, dies in the plane fight.
Yes.
And then Nick Offerman
Um,
gets shot. Nick Offerman, who is part of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
yes, Nick Offerman takes a bullet to save the president, and because one of his own soldiers had gone rogue and was secretly like pro entity.
Yes. So that is sad too. He just showed up. Nick Offerman, we hardly knew you.
Yeah.
And then Adam talks about Ilsa dying in the previous movie. They'd already killed Ilsa in Dead Reckoning, so I'll never forgive them for that.
Mm.
Yeah, she did kind of feel like the only one who was truly his equal, right? Like Haley Atwell is tough and a pickpocket, but like Rebecca Ferguson's character Ilsa, like is pretty much female Ethan Hunt,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think Haley Atwell's character is more like, you know, if in his sort of Ocean's 11 of like everybody has their skill set, she has a skill set. But yeah, Ilsa was by absolutely his peer.
Yeah. And, maybe they could have had something, but as he increasingly realizes, like, I just can't be in love with anybody because I got to keep saving the world.
Yes.
And
And I think
whoever I
he's
love is going to become in danger. Go ahead.
and I think he's still carrying a torch for Michelle Monaghan, even though he knows that she's off with some doctor now, right?
Globetrotting doctor Michelle Monaghan.
Yes.
Yeah, she's married to Wes Bentley. This is one of the things that is so emotional in
Right.
Fallout is that they go to this like Doctors Without Borders kind
Yes.
of situation in the middle of nowhere, and she's a doctor now. I think she was a
Yeah.
nurse previously. Now she's a doctor. She's married to this other doctor, and she's happy. And she's like, I'm right where I need to be. And he
Yeah.
realizes that and says, okay. Mike Webb, thank you so much for your kind donation. Mike says, in my opinion, Gabriel's death will go down as one of the most hilarious deaths in movie history.
That's Esai
He's like
Morales.
upside down and he falls out of the plane, right? Is that what happens?
It's something acrobatic, I forget.
Yes, remind me how it happens. And thank you. Is it D. Sibner? Thank you so much for your very generous donation. Seeing as how Ving Rhames designed the thumb drive, which now glows and ends up in that little briefcase at the end, is this the final answer as to what was in the briefcase in Pulp Fiction? That's a really good question.
I've
This is the
always said
crossover.
that what's in the briefcase from Pulp Fiction is the artwork from I've Heard the Mermaid Singing.
Oh, that's really funny. That's good. And then Il Magic is back. Thank you again for
Oh,
another
thank you.
donation. If you guys could pick one writer director to make one Mission Impossible reboot, who would it be? For me, it's Christopher Nolan starring Richard Madden from Bodyguard. Huh. That is interesting.
That's a cool combo.
That's tough. What do you think about that?
I want to see Greta Gerwig's Mission Impossible.
That'd be fun. Right. With a female Ethan Hunt.
Yeah, or with Timmy.
Oh, that's true. Will he learn how to fly a plane and the motorcycle stunts and all that? And
Well, I mean, for the first one, all he has to do is fight somebody on top of the train in the tunnel,
that's really funny. Oh, D. Sibner says, is Luther really Marcellus Wallace? That's a funny idea. There you go. Thank you so much again, David. David says, I never understood why so many people got upset when Ilsa Faust's character died, because we've seen characters die saving others in Avengers movies. Why do you think the fans got super petty about it? I don't know that I was aware that fans were that upset. Are fans that upset about Ilsa dying?
I mean, I'm hearing it today. It was kind of the first I was aware of it, but I haven't been digging into the online chatter about Mission Impossible, so
Yeah.
I maybe I missed that. I mean, I think obviously that it's one thing for like Black Widow, to sacrifice herself to save people, but I think this is a little more human sized, relatively speaking. And because I think they had introduced her with such flourish and she had been such a great character over the course of the films that people, I guess, wanted her to make it out the other end. But it is a testament to the creation of that character and Rebecca Ferguson's performance of same that people cared at all.
Yeah, I think it's that she's a badass and she's incredibly capable and is up for every challenge. But you also see that there is that spark there with Ethan Hunt. So, Soderbergh is a suggestion we're having. Yeah.
Oh, with Michael Fassbender.
That could be fun. And it could be one of those experiments where like he's shooting it all on an iPhone with like unknown actors, all handheld on an iPhone. That could be kind of fun. Yes, Ilsa died saving Grace, says Chevney, and was a much loved character. Oh, okay. I'd forgotten about that on that little bridge, right?
Yeah, I'd like to see a Mission Impossible where Soderbergh brings back it's the same agency as Black Book or Black Bag.
Yeah, that was fun.
And it's all Kate Blanchett.
Yeah. Oh, James Cameron says Meister, Kleister, Heister. Yes. Did you guys see Sigourney Weaver on John Mulaney's show this past week? It was a really good lineup. It was like Amy Sedaris, Sigourney Weaver, and Natasha Lyonne last week on John Mulaney's show. And Sigourney Weaver was talking about like how frightened she learned to become of James Cameron and just to like not suggest anything and to just do what he says. And so when he wants her to, like in Aliens, he wants her to do something kind of dangerous involving like breaking through glass or whatever. She at first was like, that seems really dangerous. And he was weirdly candid about how difficult it is to work for James Cameron.
Sigourney Weaver has no fucks to give. Like,
right.
I don't.
Why even bother? No, but I was like, wow, like for somebody who has been around for so long, this is like a shocking level of candor here. Like I would figure they're all kind of on autopilot to say the nice thing, but on live television of all places.
There you go.
While we are here, I've got a poll going on our community tab. So go to, I think they call it posts or community. They've changed it. Trying to figure out the rest of the week. I can only see one movie on Thursday night. I can see either Karate Kid Legends or Bring Her Back because schedule juggling. Tonight is my son's track team banquet, their end of the year banquet. So I got to make big ziti and got to go to that. But Thursday night, I have time to go see one of these things or the other. Alonso will have seen Karate Kid Legends. Alonso's husband, Dave, will have seen Bring Her Back. What would you guys rather see us talk about? And we can always catch up with the other one
Sure.
next week. But I'm seeing lots of votes for Bring Her Back. It was disproportionate to last I checked on our little poll, but if you guys could let us know in the comments here too. Brent says Bring Her Back was great. Stephen picks Bring Her Back. Anyway, so let us know. We can do either. You know, we are here for you. What else have we not talked about with Mission Impossible? Do we think this is truly the last one? I kind of did not love the ending where they're all just standing there in London, like looking at each other and smiling, like in a very knowing kind of melancholy way for what seems like an eternity.
That was a little schmaltzy. I really thought the Ving Rhames voiceover at the end, I was expecting it to have more of an emotional impact. To me, it felt like they were repeating the same stuff they had been saying so many times over the course of this movie. But for the not just for the people we love, but for the ones we will never meet. It's like
we hold close.
Yeah. Like they like on the fourth go around, it's like, yes, we get it, movie. You can stop saying that phrase. I found my mind kind of wandering, frankly, at some point during that monologue, and I was like, oh, that seems like a missed opportunity, like that. If you're going to give that character the last word and give him this big sort of send off, like that could have been written more forcefully.
Yeah. Gage says, I think there will be a reboot within the next 10 years and Tom Cruise will make a cameo. I see. So you think somebody new, somebody younger who is not 62 years old will, I can see that happening. I mean, they keep recasting, what's the dude's name who's Hunt for Red October?
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. They've had like 8 Jack Ryans, right? So I guess in like how many James Bonds? Like 5 James Bonds.
5
so
or 6.
I guess they can just keep that character going, and they think this character is on par with those in terms of like being a franchise that has longevity. Am I the only one who thought Tom Cruise should die at the end of this? Am I dumb?
Not that he shouldn't have. I mean, he certainly should have, but I knew he wouldn't because that's just not how he rolls. I could see them rebooting this and not necessarily having to have a new Ethan Hunt. I don't think that people really care about. I mean, again, I'm wrong. Maybe a lot of people are invested in that category character, but I think that you could just have the IMF, and maybe Tom Cruise is now the voice in the recording that's about to self-destruct, or maybe he pops up with some important, with the right gadget or the right intel at some point in the movie. But yeah, I think as a framework, this is an IP reboot. Let's never forget, this was a TV show in the 60s, and the TV show only existed because everybody wanted their own version of 007, whether it was Man from U.N.C.L.E. or this. This was the small screen spy show, and then it became the one of the reigning big screen spy franchises.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there's more money to be made here. That makes sense. It makes no sense to kill him off. Yes. William Redmond suggests Glenn Powell as a replacement Jack Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, what can't he do?
He can do it all. He's charming. He can do action. He can do romance. So that could be a really good call. I do like that. Yeah, and I see the argument in a lot of places that now that he's in theory done with Mission Impossible, he can go back to working with people like Paul Thomas Anderson or Michael Mann, like serious filmmakers doing serious. Not that Christopher McQuarrie is not a serious filmmaker, but doing more like auteur art house kind of driven stuff.
Yeah, Kubrick, Scorsese, he was really like, Oliver Stone. He was going down the list of all the major folks, and so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, I want to be in a Safdie Brothers movie. I want to be in a, Ari Aster, I don't know anybody,
Right.
so yeah, that would be, I would love for him to feel secure enough to be able to take those kind of chances again, because obviously most of those movies paid off for him in a purely commercial sense, as well as bolstering his credibility as a serious actor, and now that he doesn't have anything to prove in either, category, yeah, like, go wild and just get with the most sort of unhinged fringe auteurs. Be in a Jane Schunbrunn movie, Tom Cruise. Like, just go wild.
Yeah, and those are the movies that allow him to tap into the darker side of
Sure.
his looks, of his movie star persona. I mean, like, Collateral is the closest to him being a pure villain, right? And in Magnolia,
Yeah.
he's playing, he softens certainly and he makes himself vulnerable, but he's like not a good dude. And so I feel like filmmakers like that push him to explore some more interesting elements of his ability there.
The Magnolia performance is fascinating because it is tapping into his innate charisma, but sort of using it for, awful ends,
Yeah. Brent says he should do another movie with Stanley Kubrick. If only.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
Get the Ouija board out.
Wouldn't that be cool? Set it during Christmas. See what happens. David, thank you again. You're so kind. David says, I don't think you're crazy about Ethan Hunt dying, Christy. It would have felt emotional, but it felt nice being tied up into a bow with him finding happiness and peace at the end. And as you said in our Out of the Theater thing too, Alonso, like, there's a total Messiah complex with, having him be the only one who can save the world.
Yeah.
He's the only person on the planet that we can trust with this little glowing MacGuffin in a box. Like, you or I would ruin the world.
Exactly.
Right?
We'd be tempted.
Our megalomania would finally take hold. It's been festering and seething and lying in wait. Like, he's the only one who can save us.
Indeed. Yeah. And so I guess you can't kill him, because then what of the world,
Yes. Oh, Jeffrey Thomas points out something that I wanted to mention. Yeah, a Les Grossman movie. And I texted you the link to this, Alonso.
Oh,
apparently Tom Cruise and Christopher McQuarrie have been talking about a full-length Les Grossman movie. His character from Tropic Thunder, who is based on Scott Rudin, who himself is apparently trying to,
worm his way back into show business.
Yeah. I don't know that I need that, because I feel like a character like that, not unlike the Minions, is more useful in like small doses.
Yeah, like that way it was a fun bit, but I think to build a whole movie on would be de trop. And also, like, I have read more than one like Jewish film critic talk about how that character veers into some stereotypes, and it's like, if Ben Stiller were playing that character, then it's like, well, sure. But for a Gentile, to dig into there, it's like, maybe not. But it's apparently it's on the table, so who knows?
Yeah. I don't know that I need that, but I guess they're having like really serious conversations about, doing a whole Les Grossman movie. Brent says not less, but more Grossman. Yeah, maybe that's what they call it. Maybe that's the title, more Grossman.
More Grossman. Well, you know what? They should team him up somehow with Martin Short doing Jiminy Glick again.
Oh, that's funny. That's a really funny idea.
Jiminy Glick and Lala Wood is actually a funnier movie than you would think it would be. Like, you think it's going to be just sort of one joke, but it's actually pretty clever. And you also get to see Martin Short do his David Lynch impersonation.
Oh, I think I've never seen that.
It's fun.
Okay. Thank you, Mike Webb. You're very kind. Thank you for your kind super chat donation. He says, I've seen Final Reckoning twice, and I can honestly say it's the most Mission Impossible movie ever, as it contains a lot of story between Ethan's adventure, his team, and the secret government bunker. Yeah, it's the longest. And as we have pointed out, a lot of that is just like the repetition of imagery and certain lines, and like showing us supercuts of like, here's every time Tom Cruise ran in these movies, and here's every time he like was splayed out hovering over the ground in these movies. And I guess that's a nice kind of send off to this character, or at least his portrayal of this character. If you love these movies.
Yeah, I mean, even if his character doesn't die, even if the franchise comes back, they are definitely sort of putting tying a bow on this chunk of of it, of the Ethan Hunt series, and now they can certainly move on in multiple other directions, and have the most fleeting of touch points with the movies that are made so far, because they've got this larger kind of terrain to play with.
Interesting to go back to Tropic Thunder for a sec. Interesting debate
Mhm.
happening here in the comments. Brent says you couldn't make Tropic Thunder today if you pitched it to a studio. They say that sounds exactly like Tropic Thunder. And then we have Brian saying they couldn't make Tropic Thunder when they did, and yet it happened. Like the
Yeah,
whole
that
thing with Robert Downey Jr.'s character.
yeah, and I mean, it's weird because I think when you read punditry about the anti-woke bullshit, and how like straight white men feel so beleaguered by the culture today, the thing they keep coming back to is nobody can say the R word anymore, and the R word comes up a lot in Tropic Thunder, but even then it was sort of like, oh, okay, so yeah, I think even at the time it did a lot of stuff it wasn't supposed to do. And I've also when we were on back when we were at What the Flick, I remember talking to somebody about Downey's character and how it wasn't exactly blackface because it was a parody of racism, and a black pundit telling me, yeah, no, it's still blackface.
I mean,
okay.
it's so tricky, right? Satire.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
don't think that the Downey character is saying that word in a way that we are meant to believe the film is condoning it. I
Right.
think it's meant to be satirical of him being clueless.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, it's very tricky. I gotta say thanks to a bunch of folks who just gave us a bunch of nice chat money, and
Oh,
thank you for
thank
that.
you.
You're very, very sweet. Ill Magic, gotta say. Oh, hold on, I missed one. No, Ill Magic. Let's go with that one. Thank you. Imagine Owen Wilson as a villain. Oh wow, you're running out of time. That'd be fun. I would enjoy that. D. Sibner, thank you so much again. Do either of you think Cruise allowing an all-access documentary would help his persona the way Taylor Swift did some years back? So here's the thing. That would never happen by anybody outside of Scientology, right? Like
Right.
they've got very, very high-tech studios within the Church of Scientology. They've got all the infrastructure there to do that kind of thing. I think if anyone were to do it, it would be them, and it would be propaganda. It wouldn't be all access.
Yeah, I think if anything, the Tom Cruise, the most access we got to Tom Cruise was like the Oprah couch jumping moment,
Mhm.
and I think since then it's been like, no, dial it back. And so, yeah, I think he's going to have a very managed public persona from here on out. And frankly, I don't really care about his public persona. I think the work is still good. And so, as long as he's not actively embarrassing himself out there in the world, if he just pops up every so often to promote a movie and jump off of something, fine, great, go do your thing.
He actually did not jump on the couch.
I watched that episode. He jumped on
Amy
the couch.
Nicholson has written extensively about this. He like climbs onto it.
Okay.
He's
fine.
on the couch, but
He
I don't think he's
stands
jumping.
on. Okay, fine. He stands on the couch. Dave and I watched that episode when it aired, and we were like, what is happening?
Yeah. And we've never seen anything like that since, right?
No.
We don't know anything about his private life. There was some like Russian socialite that allegedly he was dating, much younger, like Russian oligarch's daughter that he was dating. But even that felt like a very, very
I want to say there was like a hot minute they were trying to tell us that he and Ana de Armas maybe were being a thing or something, like maybe before she was with Ben Affleck. I don't know, but I don't care. I guess like Tom Cruise can do his Tom Cruise things as much as he wants, as long as the movies are good. That's really all that matters.
Yeah. In some ways, at this point in his career, it kind of harkens to like when there was still some mystery to our stars.
True. Yeah.
We know a lot now because they're on social media. His social media is all just totally on message. Like,
of course.
Here I am showing up at a movie theater in Dallas. He was at the AMC in North Park.
You told me, which is not the AMC, which is not the North Park of our youth, sadly.
It's not.
That beautiful building got torn down. It's now inside the mall, but still.
It's inside the mall.
But that Dallas Fort Worth is like the number 3 film market in America, right?
After New York and LA.
Yeah, it's huge because I mean, let's face it, it's fucking hot. People want to get
Yeah.
out, want to get indoors and be air conditioned for a couple hours. But yeah, no, like this was you know, we had in like data about that I used to send out when I programmed the film festival there. And then in the last year or two, there was this another big article about Dallas Fort Worth, the #3 film market. I'm like, yeah, it always has been. So it's
Yeah.
shrewd of him to go.
They have all those giant multiplexes. They have those studio movie grills there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's got to be an Alamo Draft House there. Anyway,
I
still nothing
think,
as good as the
yeah.
Inwood, of course.
No,
Right?
no. And I'll tell you, I was there when they opened the AMC Grand, the 24 screen complex, which sadly did not survive. Like it was kind of not, it wasn't near anything else. You had to it was sort of a destination,
Where's
and
the AMC Grand?
I don't even remember now, but it opened right around the time I moved back in 95. So it was quite the showplace. And at first their whole thing was like, well, we're gonna reserve 1 or 2 screens for like indie and art house and foreign and da da da. And the first week they realized how much they could just pack the whole place in, and that went out the window. It was like, nope, 24 screens of Hollywood bullshit because we can sell tickets to it.
Well, our AMC down here in Torrance, the AMC Rolling Hills 20 will always have like at least one screen that has art house stuff.
Oh,
so we're
good.
keeping it alive. David
Good,
LeMan,
good.
thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Are you guys looking forward to the movie Tom Cruise is doing with Iñárritu? I really hope the script is good, unlike his last film, Bardo. I don't think I know that Tom Cruise is doing an Iñárritu film.
I didn't know that either. I'm not an Iñárritu fan. Like I liked Birdman, but I think
Birdman.
most of his movies I find annoying. I didn't care for The Revenant or Bardo or Beautiful or a bunch. Yeah, I know he's the one, right, who won back-to-back best directors, like the first person since Joe Mankiewicz. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. But yeah, he's not one of my favorites.
Oh, Danny McKetto's here. Hello, Danny. He says, Christy, you're so glib. Am I? I don't know. We should, but speaking of Danny, he's a lunch date friend, and we got to wrap up in a little bit to go do our lunch date. So what this is, in case you guys don't know, once a month, with our Patreon folks, we do like a Zoom chat. And so it's like this, but with other people, and we're actually all talking to each other. And we do it at the last Monday of the month. Every month is for the folks at the lunch date level. And we've got a great group of like solid core, like 6 to 8 people who always show up. And then we have other folks who drop in and out. And if you cannot come, you can pose a question to us or a topic for discussion and we will address it. So those for folks at our Patreon, there's a link to that below. It's patreon.com/befastallday. So we're doing our lunch date this month on Tuesday because yesterday was a holiday. So we got to jump off here in a second. Unlike jumping onto a couch, we're going to jump off of here.
Boom. And if you miss the live, we post the audio and video later. So
we do. It's fun. Yes. So we should wrap up, but thank you guys all so much for being here. Thank you for your thoughts. If we did not get to your question or your thought or the spoilery thing you really wanted to explore with us, please put it down in the comments. Thank you, Rufazi, for saying, hope you are doing healthy times. Christy, beautiful lady. I am doing healthy times. Thank you for asking. Yes, I am cancer-free. I'm still waiting to find out about my radiation. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I will have very, very little and possibly none because the amount of cancer I had was very small. So hopefully we can get that figured out soon. But thank you for the kind words. Good to see you all. We have not done one of these spoiler chats in a while, but I'm thinking like with the big summer movies now coming out that we will have more opportunities to do so.
For sure.
So keep an eye out. Mike, thanks for saying it was a wonderful live chat. Glad you enjoyed it. Thanks, Brent, for your thoughts. Thanks to all of you. Have a great rest of the day. And thanks for chiming in about this weekend, this Friday's movies. I'm thinking it's going to be Bring Her Back because there seems to be more of an interest in that than in Karate Kid.
Yeah, not surprised.
But at some point, Alonso, you got to go back and watch the OG Karate Kid.
Sure. Yes, I suppose I do.
A glaring omission in your filmography. Thanks to everyone here. We're so thankful, and have a great rest of the day. And we'll good summer movie season. And we'll see you soon.
See y'all. Bye.
Bye.